You ever see the Secret Service? The guys that do this, that's what I am. I'm not missing anything. Some of the bigger guys keep me a secret. They're competitive.
So how are you so much more effective than all these other ones?
I choose to focus in areas that are difficult. Within 1 quarter, I'm making significant impact on declines that were about to get canceled and written over. Not using the overtime or using it could be the difference of $350,000 on a sale price and $600,000. That's immediate impact because I'm not scared to walk into the flames, the fire. I get to see the other stuff. When we say to a realtor, hey, send us something that's been declined, we have such tremendous success. Most people don't want to deal with that.
Well, if they just do what you tell them to do, they won't fail.
No, they won't.
What can a new guy make in his first year doing mortgages for you?
I'd say 6 figures. If there's a salesperson listening to this, if there's somebody trying to break in.
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I got a real treat for you, especially if you're like a builder or a realtor or you make your living in the real estate industry. My man, Phil Crescenzo in the house. What's happening, Phil?
What's happening, Brad?
Now, folks, a lot of you guys are obviously aware that if in order to buy a home, you're going to have to get a mortgage. Well, this guy's been doing it over 24 years. He's got the most aggressive and creative mortgage company on the planet. And he claims that you get deals done that nobody else on planet Earth gets done. Now, if I'm a realtor, I'm paying attention. Why? Well, because, dude, I don't make no money if the client don't get a loan. Right?
Right.
So what makes Phil so effective versus all the other options that are out there?
Well, Brad, it's more important than that, too, because the realtor brought the client. They've already established a relationship. It could be a friend. They might have went to school with them. They might have closed their other friend, and it's a referral. Now we're in a really sticky situation. If you bring that client to the table and then they don't close, well, that's significant. Now you have damage control, reputational control.
What if they just landed them on the wrong house?
Well, the wrong house, they can find a different house. But
that's their job.
Correct.
Because a lot of realtors don't make money. And after talking to you a little bit, I'm thinking, is it because a lot of the deals they get don't close because the mortgage loan originator sucks, or why is it they don't make much money?
I think there's not a lot of regulation. They're their own boss. That's one problem.
No discipline.
Could be.
No consistency.
They get a big paycheck, right? Maybe it's $8,000, $10,000 or more. If it's around here from some of the places I drove by, probably more. Okay. So now if the client gets 20 grand, or you're an agent realtor, maybe you get 3 deals in the same month. And now it's like 30 or 40 grand. Not looking at how long it took to get that deal under contract, how long it took to nurture it. We're just looking at the 40 grand and it's 38, 36, 27. Oh no. Now what?
So are you a good source for traditional people that qualify? They've got the money. Do you have high interest rates? Like what is it?
No.
Well, so how are you?
Competitive interest rates.
But so how are you so much more effective than all these other ones?
I choose to focus in areas that are difficult and started off by necessity. I just needed the business. I needed the work. I had to figure it out. But early on when I started, I got opportunities and I had some early success and I saw opportunity. I realized, wow, I just made a difference and I'm just figuring out what I'm doing here. I was 20 years old.
What is it that you did? So you started early. How old are you?
46.
So you've been hustling in the mortgage space for a long time. So what got you into space?
A need. I was a father at 19.
A what?
A father, a dad.
Oh, a father. Where are you from?
Where am I from?
You sound like you have a little bit of an accent.
Good question. That's because it's interesting. The rural sticks of South Jersey, farms, basically, where I grew up, got very bored, couldn't wait to go to Philly, which was was pretty close. Southern New Jersey, Philadelphia. Couldn't wait to get to the big city. And then fell in love with that. Lived there, worked there. Now, I've also relocated 2011 to South Carolina. And I'm shaving off the roughness of, if I go to New Jersey or Philly, they say, what happened to you? They think I lost it. You're thinking, lost what? But it was a lot sharper. There's like a twang to it, especially on the Jersey side. You can hear it miles away. So that's what you have. You have a mix. You have a mix of the Northeast, New Jersey, a little bit of sticks, a little bit of city, a little bit of South, a little bit of country.
So you're 20 years old, you fall into the mortgage space and start learning the ropes. What's the secret that other people doing this are missing?
One is they don't see the opportunity there.
How so?
Because it's hard.
Do you think it's because they see so many deals, they just don't care and they're making enough processing the deals that are laydowns?
And that's status quo in the industry.
Because let's say, for example, I got a $4.5 million house and my buyer is, well-to-do, but only has $400,000 cash. Well, they can't buy that with 10% down. So most mortgage people are going to be like, no, you need to put at least 30% down on this jumbo loan. What would you do different? Isn't the rules the same for you as it is for everybody else?
Yeah, they're different kind of problems though, Brad. When you start getting into those kind of purchase prices, they're just different. They're different. Those clients have problems too, but they're different problems. So could I help them? Yes, with the 25 years and all the experience putting transactions together. But somebody buying in $4.5 million probably doesn't even need me. They may like me. They may use me because they just want me to help them, but they don't need me. I like to go where I'm needed. Who needs me is a client that might not have the information to put the application together, maybe before they buy. And maybe they know that my team that I train can look at a situation and say, you know what, maybe we can tweak this a little bit. We can bump the credit score up 20 points, which is going to lower your interest rate. And then you can get the house that you really want to put your kids in. It's not about just getting a house, because if it was, I would just tell them 350. But I know that the son is starting quarterback. We got to be on the other side. And being able to connect that family, the people, the coach.
So you get creative, like you don't have special programs. You're figuring out how to get them to fit a program.
Yes, I'm making the most out of everything I have. And I've been spending a whole lot of time in my life, which we'll talk about, maybe a little later, things that I did that make me like this, that give me the clarity, and then I can communicate it. Because first I had to figure it out. And it took me a while. It took me what I thought I knew. I thought I was good. And I'd beat myself up. Like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm not even good. Wow. Actually, I'm terrible. Listening to yourself talk, critiquing yourself, like, it's not easy. It's still not easy for me to do that. I don't like doing that.
Is the mortgage business very similar to, say, the car business? So like, for example, if a buyer without a lot of knowledge walks into a car dealership and they get closed at 6.9%, not knowing they could have got 5% from several other lenders, they would just say yes to 6.9%. Does the same thing happen in the mortgage space?
It's a little different than that because it's really more, there's a lot of disclosures now and things are digital. You can get information quickly to know, hey, is this a good deal? In 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Where
really.
would someone go to get that information in case someone listening is about to close on a deal? How do they verify if they're getting a good deal? Because at a car dealership, a guy comes in with a 740 credit score. My buy rate's, 4.9 at the bank. I say, I'll get you at 5.9. They say, okay, because that's fine. And I make a point. In a house, that's a lot of money. Like it would make a big difference where if I walked in and I knew their buy rate and I knew how much they were making. Is the mortgage business like that where you determine what actual rate I agree to?
It's a little bit more regulated than the car business.
A lot more, I bet.
A lot more.
So what's the buy rates right now? Or what are the average rates on jumbo loans right now?
Well, jumbo loans most of the time are going to be with banks, especially now in this market. They're going to hold those and they're going to be similar to what typically they'll be a little bit higher.
Like what?
7, 6 3/4.
Okay. So like I was walking this morning because I walk every morning. I was walking by my neighbor's house, 2 doors down from mine. I see him walking in the house. He was just in a house 2 doors the other way last week. I said, hey, what are you doing? He said, well, I just bought this house. I said, really? Nice house. He said, yeah, they were asking $8 million. I bought it for $7 million. I said, what was your rate? He said, 5.25.
Yeah.
Is that a killer rate?
It is, but.
So how did he get a killer rate?
Because a bank that's going to portfolio the loan, they probably have all his money and they're smart. See, now I can leverage the deposits. I want his millions. Look, let's lay down on the rate. Who cares? They can, and that's what the portfolio is. Portfolio lending. You have commercial assets. We're going to leverage the residential. That's no risk.
So why doesn't someone just go to their bank before they come to you?
Well, again, a lot of your friends probably don't need me as much as some other people's friends.
Yeah. So are you like helping people with 500 grand and less homes? Because earlier I said, well, you know, who can you really help? You said builders, realtors, all kinds of people. Why builders? So let's say, for example, Toll Brothers, you know, they build shitload of homes and obviously want them to close. So why would they use you?
They would use me to make sure that the homes they already built, we couldn't have gotten a certain number of more units in for the quarter or for the month. So I come in as the accountability for the internal lenders. That's what I do. And I vet the situation and I say, okay, who's going to tell them? We can close this thing today. What do you mean? How did this miss the quarter? We should have just closed here. This sat for 4 days. You blew the lock. You didn't just, and so we develop partnerships, friendships, and I'm consulting in some cases. So I'm actually managing because I'm not scared to walk into the flames, the fire. Like to me, that's just another day at the office. I get to see the other stuff.
Well, only because I'm not in the business. Explain, you're not afraid to walk in the flames. I don't get it.
So, all right, let's say we have, use Toll as an example, right?
Toll Brothers.
Yeah, Toll Brothers. And they say, we have this community. Now, typically, I'm not going to be I'm below $1 million because your conforming limits and loan amounts are starting to get up there. I would say below $1 million or even below 900,000. Like, man, that's a bold statement. Now, all the people that are 1.5 million and 2 aren't even going to call you. They don't need me. They can call me if they say, hey, you know what? I like that guy. Use me for that. But they don't need me. I want to go where I'm needed, where I can provide impact. Otherwise, we just email around and get the best rate. Now, I'm not interested in that.
Why don't you just go apply at the, big ones that just shop them all at once and give you the best one?
You could. Brokers, that's more like a broker type scenario. You could, if it's just about price, if that's all you need. And sometimes we are the best price. I don't even talk about that though very often because I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known for giving people a fair, good deal, but I want to be known for what we do after that. It's everything but that. Because honestly, the rate's the rate. There's a lot of manipulation with that.
So I'm sure people listening are going to buy a house. Would they apply with you?
I hope so.
Now, and for doing so, how are you walking into the fire where if they applied it, let's say Kind Lending or some other mortgage company, why you as opposed to them?
You ever see the guys that are like Secret Service, the guys that do this?
Yeah.
That's what I am. You need to be able to throw down if you need to. What if something pops up? Right?
See, like
we might not need it.
Phil, you're it's funny that you're giving these analogies because, it makes it sound like the mortgage space is like this clandestine. I thought the programs are the programs. And, I've just made an assumption that, hey, if you're in the mortgage space and you really know your programs, you would want to use me because I'm aware of everything that's possible. I'm not new. I don't say, well, this is the only option, when in actuality, there were better options for you and your family here, and here. I just didn't know my business. So why use me? Because I know all the programs, but the programs are the programs. I don't get to manipulate them. I have to just use them.
No, you're right, Brad. I'm glad you're going there because you're saying, okay, where are we going with this? And of course we do other things, but that's not inspiring to anybody. Who has the best rate or the lowest? Who cares?
Isn't that what the customer cares about?
It is.
I don't want to be inspired. I want the best deal.
Correct. But when they see our reviews and they see how many clients that are happy that we close, obviously we know where we need to be competitive wise. But what we're talking about specifically is what makes us unique. And maybe that's only 50% of our business. And the rest is just normal, just You can bring anybody on here and they can talk about the other half.
Yeah, but that's what I want to educate the listeners to, because again, we're not in the mortgage space. You're aware of everything. I think you might be assuming that everyone listening is also aware, because you're like, yeah, but this and this could happen. What if something pops off?
I'm going to give you some examples.
Yeah. What type of things pop off when because usually the customer doesn't know any of this. It's all happening behind the scenes.
Correct. And when they find out, they're in critical moments and there's not a lot of time to adapt or maneuver. So I'm jumping ahead. I'm going to backfill what I'm even talking about to make that make sense. Like, what are these problems? And why would we want to use this guy? Maybe he's creating some of the problems. It sounds like a negative in a way. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
I have somebody that a recent FHA client. We do a lot of FHA loans and VA loans for our bigger builders. They're predictable guidelines. They haven't changed in years, but sometimes there's misinterpretation of the guidelines. And that's where we can right a lot of wrongs that might be miscalculated or whatever the case may be, right? So we have a guy that was on his job for a year. He's earning overtime, but he wasn't on the job for 2 years, right? So a standard requirement would be average out 2 years of overtime. So he's making whatever it is. Let's say it's $500 a month extra overtime. And that's what we need. The underwriting approval comes through and they say, well, you know what? You haven't been on the job 2 years. We're not going to count the overtime. I get the same file and I look at the guidelines, and right in the guidelines, it says if the client's got a raise, we can use 1 year. And he did get 2 raises. He would never know to ask that, and nobody would know to look. And you'd say, 2 years overtime, you have 1. Oh, sorry, buddy. Well, you know what? Come back when A, B, C, D. That deal's dead. And they're not coming back either. It was a bad situation that didn't work, right? So they're not going to do that. Now, the impact of that, not using the overtime or using it, could be the difference of $350,000 on a sale price and $600,000 on a sale price. And the whole family's outside all excited. Kids are getting their own rooms. Everybody's pumped. Wife's picking stuff out at the store. And now the husband has to come home and he's working the shifts. That's the worst part. Man, those stories, I love saving those. He working the shifts to get the house. And then he goes to get the approval and they say, sorry, you haven't been here 2 years. And he's thinking, why didn't somebody else tell me that before I got my family all excited? Why wouldn't they? They don't care enough to say, wait a second, ho. Let me get this verified first before you go under contract, because this could be iffy, questionable situation. Let's underwrite the file first. Let's make sure we're good. So sometimes we could do that if we're not sure, but that's just making the most out of every situation. Like what we started to talk about, of the difference of what I'm doing. I'm not missing anything. And I'm training the team to do exactly the same thing. Well, when you start training your mind and your mindset like that, you look at everybody, you don't look at them as transactions, and you look at them as, wait, our best opportunity to get the information to this. I mean, if it's a sad situation, then I got to make sure that guy knows we're going to fight for him and say, all right, look, here's what we need to do. Here's how we're going to get it back on track and get him in positive momentum right away in that negative situation. Most people don't want to deal with that. They want to tell the guy, oh, well, of course you need 2 years, whatever. And when the market's busy and money's flowing, everyone's making that approach. I never made that approach. Now money isn't flowing. Things are more difficult. Rates have stayed flat or high for 3 years, going on almost 4 years, 6.5, 6 3/4, 7.01, 6.95, 6.8. Oh, 7.5. This is crazy, because everybody's got the device everywhere. Oh, rates up, down. Are they up? Are they down? Hey, what's the Fed doing? And it doesn't matter to the person. They're just talking and it doesn't mean anything. Well, guess what? Now it does mean something. So to me, I've been doing the same thing for 25 years. It's not hard for me. It's impossible for everyone else.
How did you stay through the rate hikes and the loan crashes? Because like if I have a 2% loan from a couple of years ago when it was ridiculously low, why would I ever go get another one at 6 or 7?
You wouldn't. That's the real answer. Now, a salesperson may try to spin that to all these reasons why you would, but you absolutely wouldn't. You would not do that. Nobody would.
Why wouldn't they? I mean, not to trade my 2 for a 7, but if I could get a second, like a HELOC, and pay off shit that I owe 14% on, why wouldn't I borrow at 7% to pay off a 14% loan?
Well, the HELOC and that business actually is up because then you can leave your 2% on that. Don't mess with that because you can't recreate it. Secure something else to get the money, another piece of property, another piece of collateral or whatever, or get the second, put it behind your 2%. Right. And then you have a revolving equity line or whatever you want to do there, pay the debts off. So why would somebody do that? Why wouldn't they? Yeah. Well, that's why they wouldn't. If somebody was going to give up that rate, there'd have to be a bigger need. Like if they really needed the cash and maybe they couldn't get the second mortgage, they're a little harder to qualify. It's second lien position. So behind the first lien, which means that the first one holding position would have to get paid off for the second to even collect. So typically second mortgage always is going to have a little harder criteria to qualify for that reason.
Well, there's usually equity.
Correct. And if there's enough, then it's less risk.
Yeah. Cause one time I was talking to a buddy of mine in the mortgage space. He was telling me about something. He couldn't get this guy to basically get this HELOC because it was, I think 7% or something high. And I said, well, what's he going to do with the money? And the guy said, I don't know. And I said, why wouldn't you ask the guy what's he need the money for? And he says, well, I didn't ask. So I said, well, ask him. Well, he was just thinking that, hey, if he could get this extra money, he could pay off some credit cards, pay off some, a boat and blah, 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 blah. Consolidate really. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what are the interest rates on those? And you saw his face go like, and a light bulb kind of came on his head. And it's like, I would take a 7% loan to pay off a 19% credit card that's maxed out.
Yes.
Like, why wouldn't I? That would be stupid not to. So he went back and closed that deal by saying, what are you doing with it? The guy apparently was going to pay off some high interest shit and boom, closed him on the 7%. But the guy wasn't thinking like that. So to me, it's like almost like being aware of common sense, really. Because I wouldn't take a 7% loan to pay off something that I wouldn't take a 7% loan if I have a 2% mortgage. What was the lowest the mortgage rates got back in those days?
Low 2s. I mean, you could pay points and buy it down. I think I closed 1 or 2 people in the 1s. It was like 1.875. The perfect.
Dude, I wish I could get one right now for that.
The perfect storm of a scenario because it was like a shorter term. It was a 15-year loan. Typically, they're going to have lower interest rates. Perfect time in the market, and he paid a couple points. He just wanted a 1 in front of it, which I was like, yeah, I want to see a 1 in front of it too, because this is a first for me too. So yeah, pay the points.
So this guy got a 5.25 next to me. What is that? A extremely good loan?
Yeah. Right now,
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm looking at a property, but I don't want to put 30% down. That's why when I use the 4.5 million, the house I'm thinking about is 4.5, but I'm assuming you put 30% down. What is the best down payment you can get on a jumbo loan?
It goes by your loan size. So on 4.5, probably 20 or 15.
That'd be the lowest.
And that's aggressive. That would be aggressive.
So 30 is normal.
Yeah. It's going to tier up as you start climbing in. Now, if it was like $1 million, maybe under 2 million.
Well, it isn't.
If it was.
Well, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Yes, she would.
It's 4.5 million. And I'm like, do I want to put that mill and change down? But, I got to get this guy over there because I think that the house, because again, the one 2 doors down just sold for 7. So this one's 4.5 and it's bigger. It's not as new, but it's bigger. And I'm thinking, man, if I just throw some floors, some closets in this thing, probably worth 7. So like that would be foolish not to do it.
Correct.
But then again, what if I do it and then I do all this work to it and it's not? And it's like, come on. So I'm waiting, and waiting is going to cost people money if you ask me. Because I think in September, October, the feds will lower the rates. And I think money is going to start flowing. And when the money starts flowing better, don't the prices of the homes go up? It's like this.
Mm-hmm.
So rates are coming down, prices go up, which balances it all out, which is the funny part. Like everyone, I'm waiting for this killer rate, but then the prices are higher. And then there's these stupid rates. Well, the prices are lower. Doesn't it all balance out?
It does. And that's what you have to look at, the timing and waiting for what reason. If you need to make a decision or make a purchase, the rates eventually will come down. So if you can get the asset cheaper, sale price a little less, the higher rates actually open up opportunities. They do, because there's not enough activity. So if a client can afford it, they might not be buying because the rate's so low. They'll be buying for other reasons. But if they're buying and the market's not hot, of course they're getting a better deal.
How did you not get scared out of the business when business was tough?
I didn't have a choice sometimes. There was no option. Certain years in my career, especially the earlier days.
You just quit.
No, there's no quit. I don't know how to do that.
You know how many people quit the mortgage business because rates went up and nobody was getting loans and they're like, I got to make a living. So they just quit. What would you say to those people?
Well, I would say if they started and they came in when it was easy, then they're out when it's not easy. And
it was real easy a while back, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, what happened with COVID, it just created a lot of bad habits for a lot of reasons. Personal connection just diminished. Business fundamentals went out the window. You're trying to talk to people. Like, I can't sell to somebody with a mask on. Like, it's hard. I mean, you can, but I'd be trying to look at this much of your eyes to know if I'm making sense. So that was frustrating. And then everybody was like, don't get near me, and in-person closings and that kind of stuff. So you had that going on. So now everybody's pent up in their homes with high-speed internet, flying off the shelves. Let's refi, right? We're sitting at that time, a lot of people were probably at 5 and 6. But even if you were at 4 or probably 4, you could still save money and it made sense. There was lenders that were refinancing the same client within the same year because they could get them down another 0.5% or another 0.75%. That's how crazy it was. So if you refinance for, say, 3 3/4, wow, that's great. And then I say, hey, Brad, actually, we could probably get 2.5. You're going to say, why didn't you tell me that a month ago? Right? That's probably what you would tell me. Or you'd say, okay, well, then let's do it. Why wouldn't we do it? So then you had an unrealistic expectation of what the market actually is and was. And then the person's coming in new. So what do they have to compare it to? Right? Not much. So if I take a client, perfect scenario, and I say, here, your rate's 3, I don't really have to sell much. The rate's selling the deal. So volume's pouring in from everywhere. The rates, it's yours to lose, right? They're going to do it. You just got to process it and put it through. Then you hit, so that was first quarter 2020, right around March, April 2020. COVID, they started leaking information around January and nobody was taking it seriously. Then it was February. Remember this? It was like, what are they talking about this thing with China? By the time it hit March, there was more stuff going on. March 29th or 27th. I don't remember the exact date, but it was the end of March. I remember because it was the end of my month. So it was March 27th or 29th. They passed the CARES Act, which gave, clarity to a lot of things. And then lockdowns. That started with the jobs being locked down and people couldn't go to work and a whole bunch of different challenges. So that was 20, 21, now first quarter 22. 22, the beginning of the year is when it started, where we saw high 3s on a rate sheet. By the time you got to first quarter 2022, it was well into the 4s, and you're not even saying 3s. And I'm like, okay, that's a pretty big shift, that little bit of time. Now, 2022 through, I'm going to be pretty close on the numbers, not exact, but I want to say almost 3 full percentage points, depending on the time frame you calculate, in 22, in 1 year. So if you just entered in the business to make some extra money, because it's so easy in 21, and then that happens in 22, you can say that's what happened to the market. The problem right now, Brad, is the mortgage IQ in the industry is, it's hard to find. In some cases, non-existent, because we're plugging in, we plugged in a bunch of robots. It's almost here, just pick up the phone and plug the numbers in. They didn't put the time in. They weren't trained the right way. They didn't have years and years of transactions. They didn't have anything blow up. Everything was 2%. They didn't even have any problems, no skills to adapt and reason with people, walk them through something, foresee something before it happens, to prepare them for it. None of that. So that's actually a good thing. It's a good thing for the consumers that less experienced people leave the business when it gets hard.
So you sound like you're into personal development a little bit. You were talking about mindset earlier. Are you into personal development?
Very much. I didn't know what I was doing in the early years was exactly that. It was just grind and wanting to do well and wanting to push through, wanting to provide for my family, wanting to win, just wanting to do a good job. But my story, jumping back a little bit, my story personally, before actually getting into mortgages, paved the way for me to be able to connect with people, for me to be real, just year after year, client after client, figuring it out, taking on challenges. But so when I was a father at 19 and I had to get benefits, and I'm like, hey, Mom, do we have benefits? She's like, not what I think you're asking for. We don't have benefits for that, for you, but not for you to have a baby. And now I'm thinking, what happens if I don't have the money? What happens to the child? I was so young and I was so not prepared for that. So my brother-in-law was in the union. Well, union jobs have benefits. So I get in the union. He gets me in. I start working, except I didn't realize, first of all, I wasn't planning on becoming a father. I had all these different things I was going to do with my life. And now I'm stuck on a job site with a hard hat and a vest. And I'm trying to figure out like how I even got here and working through that. I get to the job and then I realize, man, this is the good old boys club. They don't want me here. I'm a 19-year-old kid. They don't want me here. So I had to figure out a way. This is the mindset part. I had to figure out a way to get excited about what I was doing, embrace it, have a great attitude, and make the most of it. I had to get excited about digging a ditch, actually truly digging a ditch, not a figure of speech. So I'm thinking, all right, how do you get excited about digging a ditch? I said, well, I could level it. I could square my sides up. I could prep the pipes better when they keep bringing this hook over. And these guys put the cigarettes down and get back in the hole. And then we lose 15 minutes every time they do that. So why don't we just put the chain in there and then you go smoke your cigarettes, guys? And like, slow down, kid. And now I'm thinking, man, these guys are going to be working against me. I can't even do a good job. Or they're going to say, slow down. So I said, okay, I start focusing on leveling the ditch. I start seeing that on my run, they're hooking up less. Well, why? Because I'm paying attention, right? These guys are smoking like chimneys. So I go through, I start to get, they're paying attention to me. They're starting to notice that's not normal. This kid is always working. He has one speed fast. I heard somebody say. They don't want to tell me that, but I heard them say that.
You ever heard, I have one speed, go.
One speed, go.
That's
so
Charlie Sheen. Guidance for fools.
I don't know that one.
I got tiger's blood, man. So aren't you afraid you're going to die? Dying's for fools.
You watch movies in
here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll move these chairs.
Because it seems like a great spot.
I'll move these chairs and then I'll let my little kids and their friends come in here and rollerblade and watch movies.
Oh, dude. That's amazing. You got to be the coolest dad ever.
I am.
You seem like you would be.
Well, I'm a little more lenient than most dads, I'm sure, but you know, it's just it's easy to let them in here and turn the lights on and they have fun watching movies.
It's tough for me too. I want them to be happy.
How many kids do you have?
4.
All with the same woman?
No.
Now we're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere. Now when you do the math.
I have 7 from 4, so I feel you.
And
so basically you were digging ditches, literally doing a good job there. And eventually what you said, dude, this is bullshit. How'd you discover mortgages would pay you big money?
I was looking for any opportunity at the time, but the important thing, Brad, about the mindset piece that I want to capture is I had to accept where I was and I had to have the right attitude, because if I didn't, it would resonate and I wouldn't do a good job. And they'd find a reason to fire me because I was the kid and then hang out with the good old boys. So I had to really buy in, not act like I was buying in. I got to learn everything here and make the most of this job, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I might be here for a while.
Where most people might just like not be grateful for the job, not study.
Yes.
Because it's temporary.
Yes. And the message is make the most out of what you have. Be grateful for what you have. Appreciate what you have. That doesn't mean you have to stay there, but you need to appreciate it and you need to make the most out of it. It might lead to the next thing. And that's where I'm going to get to in a minute or two. So
if I quit interrupting.
No, this is great. I'm taking trips down memory lane. So for me, it's cool to go into those spots that I haven't touched on in a long time. But I'm not done with the union thing. So I'm 19 and I'm thinking, if I lose the job, I lose the benefits. Well, that is what would happen. I had to get a certain number of hours in. So there was no way I was going to lose. There's no way I'm going to let these chimneys, these guys, you can't even see their belts, guts hanging over the belt. They're moving like snails because their buddy's the foreman. I said, all right, I got no friends here. What I picked up quickly reading that room was I'm on my own. And they're not going to like me when I start doing a good job. And who cares? As long as the right people see me doing a good job, who cares about these guys? They're not my friends. So the second opportunity was there was a tunnel getting built from Atlantic City to Brigantine. It was a really big job for a couple of years. That's when I was still up in New Jersey. So the runoff into the catch basins, and there's these long tunnels. They go down like 25 feet. So the point there is you can't see down from the street. So I'm watching these guys doing different things on the job site, and I hear them say, we need somebody to mud the catch basins. I have no idea what I'm doing. None. And so the one guy says, hey kid, you know how to mud? I said, absolutely. Because I knew they would drop me down in the hole and nobody could say. I'll figure it out. So I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm good. And I was like, man, I hope they don't say, test this out, because we weren't good. But they didn't. Cigarette break. Slow down. The union. Okay, got it. So I'm down there grinding. I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm watching the masons on my lunch break. And nobody else knew this. I'm like scared to death that they're gonna find out and they're gonna use that to fire me. So I'm watching the masons. I go down there. I get it eventually. So the long story short there is I figure it out, and then they liked what I did. This is where I got them. One more opportunity, the saw cutting pipes. The saw cutting, this is physically hard. I'm 20 years old, and at that time I was in great shape. I said, I got them, because you got to put a mask on. Can't smoke cigarettes with a mask on. And these guys never put the cigarettes down, and you can't breathe. So even if you got the mask on and you can part with the cigarette for 5 minutes, you can't breathe in there. And it's hot. And so the concrete dust is hitting the side of your face, you're sweating, and it's actually turning into mortar. You could take that off the side of your face and literally make mortar with it. Nobody wanted that job. And then you get covered in the dust. So nobody wanted to do it during lunch. So I said, I'll do the pipes. They're like, oh yeah, let the kid do it. Let the kid do it. I put the mask on. I start ripping through these pipes like it's my only thing in the world is nail this cut. And then I said, well, I'm already full of dust. So I go to the foreman. I say, hey, you mind if I just knock out all the pipes? There's like 6. He's like, during lunch? I said, well, when these guys get back in the hole, I'll take lunch. He's like, dude, that's a great idea. So the job wraps up. And now we have to decide where, it's union. You're going to go to the next job, right? Like, get the crew together. Foreman, one guy, like, get the kid. Get the kid? Yeah, get the kid. And the 2 fat chimneys, gone. They never made it to the next job, even with the good old boys club, because he's like, listen, guys, there's a lot of saw cutting on the next possession. And I need the kid. Sorry. Bam. There it was. Making the most out of an opportunity that you didn't even want, that you didn't think you should have to deal with, and you're 19. That's mindset right there.
What taught you that, though?
My dad. Growing up, working in the wood shop, his saying was, if it's perfect, it's good enough. I'd say, like, Dad, am I done coating the board? Like, well, my friends are waiting for me. If it's perfect, it's good enough. If it's perfect, it's good enough. So driving that work ethic deeply and at a young age. So I could do some things like, I could use the saw and I could get my way around tools. And I knew my way around the shop a little bit, but same thing. I mean, even when I was at that younger age, I said, man, I got to just nail this perfect because Dad's not going to get off my back. So let me just watch Dad. Now he's an artist. He's a very talented individual. He had a sign company, sign business, handwrite those letters just like that and make it look just like that. What a picture. Very, very skilled, very talented. So I was fortunate with that. And I was fortunate to have both parents in the home too. And that doesn't always happen.
So where did you lose the job or quit the job?
So my brother was working in the mortgage company, right? So there's the first connection. But back in 99, 2000, there was a landline in every house in America. And mortgage regulation, this is pre-crash, which was between 7 and 8, 2007, 2008, right? So this hasn't even happened yet, the crash part. And I worked in that era. That's what I learned. I didn't know any different. So there wasn't a lot of regulation. Licensing was loose. Like you would wonder how the mortgage industry was that unregulated. But it was like insurance sales. You'd just be a solicitor. We just need to know what company you're working with. They didn't even have background checks back then. Well, that changed after the crash, certainly. But landline in every home. And so that opened up ability to generate without all the regulation. You could put anybody on the phones if they could talk a little bit. So that's how my brother got in. And he's like, oh, you'd be great at this. You'd be great at this. You should do it. You should do it. I blew it off at first because it didn't make sense. I didn't really know what he was talking about. I didn't blow him off. I just blew the idea off. He starts making some money a couple months later. Try it out. I mean, give it a shot. I said, I'm working all day. He's like, yeah, but you could work after hours.
Cutting pipes?
No, after hours.
No, you were working all day.
Yeah, yeah.
Pipes?
Correct. Yeah, sorry. I was still in the union for full time. I'm working that tunnel job. And so I said, I can't give this up and I need the benefits. He said, no, you don't have to. You could do this on the side.
Did you ever use those benefits?
Yes, I did.
It's like so many people are worried about benefits. It's never made sense to me. I could care less about benefits, but thankfully I've never really needed them.
Well, that was because of the birth of my son. That's all I cared about at that time. That was like, that this has to happen. So after that, there was less. I probably didn't use them, honestly, except that one time. A lot of people
stay stuck in corporate jobs because of benefits. Just in case something happens, I'm covered. And then nothing happens.
The illusion of security.
Yeah, it's basically because benefits, that's $300-400 a month, isn't it? Like 500, 1,000 if you got a
At
big
the
family.
most, yeah.
So you're going to stick here for $1,000 a month because I can't afford to not have those benefits. When in reality, dude, you could go make 30,000 a month, pay for them yourself, still have your benefits.
Taking less money for the illusion of security. And it happens a lot.
Happens every day.
And people get stuck.
I tell people, if you want to succeed, get in the position to receive commission, which is what you eventually did. So your brother talked you into it.
He talks me into it. And this is a great advice. If there's a salesperson listening to this, if there's somebody trying to break in, and I don't even know if he knew what he was doing when he did this, but it broke the fear and I got right in. There was no like call anxiety, just get busy. And here's what he told me. He said, listen, a whole list of names, right? 50 names, 100 names, I don't even know how many, a lot. And he said, the first 10 are just practice. Just blow through the first 10. It doesn't matter what you sound like. Who cares what you do? And we're okay with you blowing those leads, but you got to get your first 10 out of the way so we can see how you're doing and so you can get comfortable. What he really did was take the fear completely out because they were watching every lead. They didn't want me to blow any of them and they tracked all 10. I said, well, I thought the first 10 were tossing these, but my third one in, I got a hit and I had no idea what I was doing and no idea what I was saying. I had a little script. So I'd set the deal up, pass it to a team member. Set another deal up, pass it to a team member. Man, this guy, Phil's passing a lot to a lot of team members. I started converting. I started getting comfortable with it. And I started really seeing that I could do this. Where I fell in love with the whole idea was that I could get better and I could control my income, commission. So I started racking commissions up because with the union, and in the North in the winter, everybody gets laid off at least for a couple of weeks to a month, and then you go back. So once I had, it wasn't even a lot, maybe a couple $1,000. It was enough for me to take the shot. It was enough for me to bet on myself that I could get through a month and I could convert all these deals that I was passing to the team members. I could keep, or we could split it, or I could figure it out. And that's why I still have the passion about entry level and bringing people in and giving them opportunities, because that's how I started.
Is your goal that people get into the mortgage industry?
My goal is that if somebody was a good person, a good worker, that there wouldn't be barriers of entry for them if they wanted to get in. Making it simpler.
Why would they want to? Tell them what's the opportunity? What's it look like? What's a hardworking person willing to do what you train them to do and get out there and work and kind of have the same philosophy you had in the tunnels and put that work in? What can a new guy make in his first year doing mortgages for you?
Well, if they're working for me and our team, they're working, and I'd say 6 figures.
So over 100 G's. What's their day-to-day life look like?
Day-to-day life would be, it could be manageable. It depends how good they are with their time, right? Are they
1099?
W-2 hourly.
Yeah. So you're telling them show up at 8 o'clock, leave at 5 o'clock. And then what are they doing all day long? Making phone calls?
They're making calls. They're, now my model's a little bit different. I have a lot of clients wanting, to do business with me and with us.
So I'd rather make calls than cut pipes.
Absolutely. Yes. So would I.
See, that's another thing I don't understand about all these construction workers and laborers. Like, I tried it. I don't like that shit.
No, it's hard work and you can't control anything. That's the biggest piece.
Well, you're limited. They're saying you're worth X amount an hour and that's all you're going to get, no matter what you do in that hour or how good you are in that hour. You're going to get your $20 or whatever it is. Well, so like, that's why I would jump in the mortgage business in 5 seconds after listening to this. And it's like, I've been waiting for something. Like, let this be the sign you've been waiting for.
It could be. And you'll
give people work.
We'll give them work. We'll give them opportunity.
Where would they go?
It's got to be the right. It's got to be the right fit. And the only reason I'm hesitant on that is there is a high failure rate in mortgages. There is. Attrition rate, I should say.
Well, the reason why is because they don't find success quickly. Don't you train them?
Oh, absolutely.
So if they just do what you tell them to do, they won't fail.
No, they won't.
Most people won't do what you tell them, though. So again, I can't help those people. You said it for me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people I can save you from drowning, but you got to swim towards me. You can't be running from me and not doing what I'm showing you to do. Some people say, I want to be rich. And I say, okay, show up here, start doing this, crack a book, go to the gym, start hydrating, get out there and network. Oh, I don't want to do that. Well, that's the only way I know how to do it. Like, this is how I did it. So the only way I can teach you to do it is teaching you what I did. And then you got to be doing the work because I did. And that's how it worked. So same thing in mortgages. If you're like, listen, I'll teach you exactly how to make a lot of money in the mortgage space, they still have to do the work.
They have to do the work, and getting through those first few stages of determining, are they coachable? Are you going to want to do things that seem really boring and task oriented, but you have to do that to get your fundamentals down. Again, like what you're saying, that's how I learned. And that's why the knowledge and experience is very deep, because it was one page at a time, one client, one file at a time. So good luck taking it away. It's not going to happen. These flashes in the pans and the, race to the top, you could just tell. You can just see through it. There's not a lot behind the screen. If somebody just pops up, that's what I'm referring to. So came out of nowhere.
So obviously, if I said, how can the bomb squad help you? It's if you're interested in getting in the mortgage space and don't know how to get in, hit you up. If they're the right fit, you'll train them. Now they can have a story 5 years from now like yours. I was listening to Dropping Bombs. I was listening to this guy. Number two, if you're a builder, developer, someone that needs to sell the homes, and I assume you're putting the same work ethic as you did in the tunnels, which is why someone would want you, because they got a dude that's going to do it right. He's going to work hard, and he's not going to shortcut and mistreat these opportunities, because everything's an opportunity.
Yes, it is.
And then realtors, usually realtors are the ones that send the business places, don't they? Why wouldn't you go out there and hit all realtors? Because if it were me and I was in the mortgage space, I'd be convincing realtors, send me your deals. I'm going to work hardest for you. If I can't close it, nobody will. So either send me the ones that got declined elsewhere, at least send me those. And then once I close a few of those and make you the money that someone else failed you to make, then you can send me all your business. Who else could you help other than those three categories?
There are three very big categories, but I want to touch just for a second on why it's different because when we say to a realtor, hey, send us something that's been declined, how we have such tremendous success in that exact space. I've been working very hard to get the process itself manageable for the difficult clients. So now, year after year, I've been working on this confidently. I'm still bringing in closings for August for builders. I was getting builder calls and I'm forwarding them to the team for August closings. It's August 15th. So yes, if it's a division president or a builder or someone else, I can change the month. And you just met me on Dropping Bombs. But guess what? Once I can diagnose the situation, I'm going to change the quarter and you're probably going to get a really big promotion. My problem, Brad, is that I start doing very well and some of the bigger guys keep me a secret. They're competitive. So sorry, guys, but there's a lot of people we need to help. But really, it's that different. And so I got to be clear on that because it can just get overlooked. It's absolutely within one quarter, I'm making significant impact on declines that were about to get canceled and written over. So why wouldn't we do that? Give me a week or two before we cancel the contracts and let me see what I can do. We're tossing them anyway. I'm recycling them. And it's already in the net number.
Who makes those decisions? Because if I was in a situation where I'm listening to this podcast and I'm the guy that says, that's not a deal, I'd say, dude, it doesn't hurt me to give this guy a chance. So who's that decision maker?
That would be your inside sales managers, that maybe report up to the division presidents.
Brokerages?
And we can work with realtor teams too, but in the builder side of things.
Builders.
Like
Toll Brothers, KB Homes, stuff like that.
They already built the homes.
Christopher Homes.
And they've been projecting for a year or two. And guess what? They missed. They all missed. Nobody thought this was going to happen. And so now we're sitting on inventory for an extra. What do we do? Are we going to hold off and not break ground? And then that hits the paper. There goes your stock price. We're not going to put any more units in. Too many cancellations. So the optics are important. You start missing numbers and it takes a while to get it turned. So absolutely, this message has to get across. I'm willing to put myself out there. I will make immediate impact anywhere.
So where do people find you? You got me convinced that I'm just not a developer. Otherwise, I'd be making my call going, hey, all D clients, if not all my business, definitely the ones that we can't make happen, send them over to frickin' Phil. And if you started making those deals, bro, now I'm like, just send them all to Phil. Because then you'd earn all my business. Why? Well, because dude, if you're the guy getting the ones that no one else could get, why wouldn't I just send them all to you in the first place?
Correct. Because if you can do that, right, the earpiece, that guy, then you can shuffle the guy out of the hallway, right? That's in the wrong elevator. This guy's ready to throw down. It also makes your processes so efficient, so consistent, because I don't know what these calls are going to look like. I got to take that 582 VA manual underwrite with a questionable payment on something and get it in for the month. And I'm not scared. I got a beast back end team. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because on the other side of that,
it's a challenge for you.
It is. And that's why I don't get tired, because I don't look at it as another thing. This is a family we can help. Right. And so as I've developed a team, then I say, you guys got to free me up so that I can go talk to the division presidents, but I can't do that with a bad update.
Yeah.
So you got to give me the update. Here's how we need to do it. And so what I'm doing right now is developing a team that duplicates me as if I was the loan officer, what I did, and I'm teaching them all to do the same thing.
So again, LOs that are listening, dude, you want to get mentored and coached by a dude that's doing it right? Bang. Developers, bang. Who else? Oh, realtors, obviously. But because if I'm a realtor, dude, I need a source that's going to get my shit done. I need my money. I need those deals.
They're not used to hearing stuff like that.
But what about buyers? Because as a buyer, couldn't I come to you and prearrange my shit? So when the realtor goes, hey, use my friend Sally, I got my shit handled.
They're going to go to myteamc.com. They can apply there. They can reach us there. They can see what we're doing. My personal handles, we can give that out too, but they're going to find us because we're very rare in this space. Nobody wants us. Nobody wants it.
Why?
It's difficult. There's risk to manage.
So it's basically you did the tunnel cutting in the mortgage space. You're doing the shit nobody wants to do.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what taught me. Doing that before any of it mattered. All that led me to, if I got to talk to a union guy, you think I know how to communicate to him? Absolutely. Or somebody else that's in those kind of situations. So that's my whole point. The whole point is, by having the right attitude and just being grateful, it allowed me to absorb everything. It allowed me to be sustainable. So I don't just tap out and give up. That's a long game mentality. We're improving ourselves, and anybody listening can do this. Doesn't matter what field you're in or whatever else you're doing, whatever the situation is. That's what I did. And I was willing to work and beat myself up and tackle my weaknesses aggressively.
And the mortgage company you're with is Nation One.
Nation One Mortgage. They're based out of South Jersey. The owner's Joe Lang, good friend of mine. Small company, relatively. I think we're, as a group, we may do 600-700 million total. And
not after this. Everyone's going to hit you up knowing that you're passionate.
That was before this. You're right. That was before. I'm very passionate. And
I can tell.
I come in and say, look, let's get better today. Let's get better today. And it's difficult to do when you put this many years in.
Well, if nobody listens, maybe I'll send you some of mine because I'm going to start buying buildings and homes and all kinds of shit. I'm getting in the real estate space. I could
consult you on commercial stuff too. I did commercial lending. I did anything.
Well, I got one right now that I'm looking at in Nashville. 1.8 little, I think it's 10 units.
Okay.
But it's just an investment property.
Yeah.
But that's not the same, is it? Because they go that on cash flow on that.
Well, you're getting the building approved. And if your debt service coverage is there, it's a good deal. And if it's really there, you get a better deal.
Yeah.
But that's easy. That's actually easier than tackling the 582 VA manual and the families sitting on the curb. That's immediate impact. Yeah. I turn the family around and say, no, kids, get back in the room. What are you doing? We're good.
Go pick out your carpet.
But I can do it on day one or day two. That's the difference. I don't have a week sometimes. I got to tell them that's the difference. That's what we're doing. That's very, very, very different.
Guys, if you want to get a hold of this dude, you can follow him on social media at Phil J CSC. Phil J CSC. You can also go to myteamc.com, get your loan, get a job.
Get the email. Give them the email too, Brad. Handled. The team C at nation1.com, just general info. Like, hey, I'm driving down the road and I need that for my client. You email Team C at Nation One. The whole goes to the team, whoever's available. They'll jump on it and tell you is that a scenario that the client should apply.
Team
2
C
minutes
at nation1.com.
The lender's 911. Hey, what should I do? You should run. Or what should I do? You should have put the application in right now. They need to know that. It's very important because where else are they going to get the information? Their buddies, people at work, the brother-in-law, the sister,
someone that doesn't know.
And they're in a panic situation sometimes when they get bad news. So they're not going to be thinking clear.
Well, Phil, you seem like a good dude with a lot of ethics and passion. I don't know why you're so passionate about freaking doing such a good job and whatever you do, but for those people listening, if you're in the space of needing a loan, I'm telling you, that's the kind of guy you want on your side. Appreciate you coming in. Folks, as always, till next time, keep it real.